YouTubers spend a year perfectly replicating Coca. You want to watch this? You know what? Okay, I'll watch it. I read about it in the news actually. Apparently, it was some massive conspiracy,
But I
dude.
digress. Point is, Coca Cola
Yeah,
is kind
basically,
of a big deal.
what we explain?
Practically every
Basically,
human being on the
the
planet knows what it is. And yet,
the
despite existing
Vatican,
for almost
Swiss, and
140
Jewish
years, only a
banks
handful of people
were competing over
actually know what
influence
it's
over
made
the
of.
CIA.
As a matter of fact,
And
the Coca-Cola
this is what
secret
they
formula
hid.
is one of the most
Basically,
tightly guarded trade
they
secrets to
met up
ever exist.
with the
With
Coke
protective
dealers
measures so
in
extreme
Mexico and
that they're
Colombia
almost
who were
laughable.
selling Coke to Coca Cola.
Seriously, they have a
And the
giant
CIA
steel
wanted
vault
to
that they show
stop
off on
this,
guided
and so they
tours.
did,
Does
right?
that not
The
sound like
American
something
government,
straight out
and
of
they tried to
SpongeBob?
stop this.
And if that wasn't enough,
They
the
were
ingredients are all
waging a
shipped
war over
unlabeled
trade,
and from entirely
and
different
then
facilities,
they came
or
into the
kept
picture,
almost entirely
and then
in the dark
basically
about what they're making.
Coca-Cola couldn't get their
So much
cocaine anymore,
effort, all for a
right?
soft
So they
drink
wanted to get
that the
something
company
else,
half-heartedly
and then so
promotes with
the
horribly
Jews
out-of-touch
they found out
AI
about this.
commercials.
Then
Wouldn't it be funny
basically
if
what they
someone
did,
managed to
as
steal
part
the secret formula right
of
from under their
protecting a
noses,
new
piece
recipe,
together a chemically identical
they
beverage with the
had
exact same
Coca-Cola in their
flavor, and then
vaults
tell absolutely
protect
everyone on the internet how to make it
their
themselves?
secrets
To most
of
sane
their
people,
of their influence
this
over the
probably sounds
CIA
like a fool's errand.
in their vaults,
After all,
and then
many have
they
attempted the
massively
quest
hid
and
this
invariably came up short.
through
Trust me,
irony
I tried
and
all the
over
formulations,
through
none of them tasted
influence
like
over the
milk.
media. That's why there's so many Jews
So,
in the
is
media,
this even
right?
possible?
That's why there's so many Catholics
Well, in theory,
and like
yes.
people from
One
Swiss
article from
backgrounds in the
2016
media.
theorized that the recipe could be deciphered
They
with
basically
help from
hid
mass
this
spectrometry.
in the
Although
media
the author
through
basically
irony.
concluded
They,
that
they
only
made
major
things
group
like
Pfizer would have the time and resources to
right
actually
by
use
hiding it in Coca-Cola
Yes, this
and
was
then
before science YouTubers
massively
got serious,
brand
'cause I actually
like
have two YouTube
propagandizing
channels with
Coca-Cola
two
as the
different
main
kinds of
drink.
mass
It's the most
spectrometers,
popular drink.
and one
They
even
put
happens
it
to be a
in
college professor.
SpongeBob.
Yeah,
SpongeBob.
we're coming for you,
Plankton
Coca-Cola.
is a
Coca-Cola uses coca leaves.
an analogy
You can't
to
possibly
this,
hope to replicate it without
right?
Have you
It's an
heard
analogy, but
of chemicals?
they actually misuse the
I'm aware
analogy,
that
not
whatever
to
I
make
make
it
won't be
clear,
absolutely
but to
identical down to the
obfuscate
trace
it.
contaminants.
So when people
But
think
if
about
I add all
a
the
theory
major
like this,
flavoring agents that are
they
detected in real
think about, oh,
Coca-Cola,
it's just
I should get
plankton, so
something
it's just
that tastes
goofy.
like
So I'm not
Coke,
gonna go into that.
regardless of if it came from a
The other
Coke
the other
And spoiler alert,
institutions are gonna look into it because it's just goofy. It's like plankton, and they also massively in the education,
this
the
approach
universities,
actually works pretty
they make
freaking
these.
well. And
They
in
try to
regards
make
legality,
conspiracies
well,
sound like
Coca-Cola hasn't actually patented the
theories,
recipe.
sound like it's
Seriously.
something completely
Doing
crazy. It's
so would
what
require
crazy
them to
people think,
expose what
but
they're actually patenting,
we all know
and
that
that's
the
obviously not
people that
something
actually
they
believe
wanna
this
do.
aren't crazy. They're not crazy.
Consequently, unless
They're
they try
right.
marketing my own
Not
product
all the
under the
time,
Coca-Cola
but
name,
I mean I'm right about
there's
this.
really nothing they can do about it.
They were all
So,
saying that,
what are we
dude.
waiting for?
Everyone,
Let's get
everyone
cooking.
knows this. If you don't know this
Now,
yet, come on,
believe it or
man.
not, we already know
You're out of
over
the loop.
99% of Coca-Cola's
This is not
made,
this is not
at
hidden
least by
knowledge.
weight.
That's what they want you to think.
A
It's
liter of
out in the
Coke
open.
contains roughly
You can
110
watch.
grams of
You
sugar,
already saw it.
96 milligrams of caffeine, and 0.64 grams of phosphoric acid, based on pH measurements and other scientific analysis. It also contains caramel color,
Also,
which contributes
the
important
best
flavor
Coke,
compounds like furfural.
It's not bottle.
in
It's
addition
not.
to
It's
the
not
Colas
can. It's
which are
not
around
Pepsi. It's not Dr
here. What
Pepper.
we don't know
It's
is
when you
what
have
makes up the
a
last
big
ingredient,
plastic
natural
bottle,
flavors.
especially the ones that have a
This is where the
thicker
real
plastic
battle
layer.
begins.
And instead of drinking it now,
2025,
that's disgusting,
only one of
right?
the natural
If
flavors
you drink it
can be
now, you might
definitively
as well just go. I like
Decoconized
can.
coca leaf
Just
extract.
a bit of that
The
aluminium
Stepan
taste is
Company
pretty
in New
good,
Jersey
but
is one of the only
if
American companies
you need
licensed to
to
work with coca
let
leaves.
age,
And guess
like
who they
dry
sell the
age,
extract
for
to
around
once
a
the
month,
cocaine is removed.
right? Let a bit of
Extract was also used at one point,
like pop,
but it was
So
phased
what
out
did
the
you
in
make
bubbles,
of
February.
let the bubbles flow out,
I tried finding my
and
own source
let
of
the
cocaine-free coca
microplastics
extract,
set into
but
the
companies
settle
like
into the
Power Leaves
coke.
never returned my emails.
You
and the
it
package
becomes
I bought
less
from this
acidic,
definitely not sketchy
and it becomes
Peruvian
kind of.
website got seized at the border.
It's like
So basically,
you know what brand,
Coca-Cola entity.
it's like liquor,
Which meant I
but
had to work
without
up the
the
entire flavor
alcohol.
profile from
You know, it's like
scratch.
aged
At
to
first,
perfection.
I thought this might be
It's
fairly
an
easy.
exquisite
I mean,
taste.
several
The
cola
extra
recipes are already published,
microplastics.
including the original Pemberton Coca-Cola
It's not.
from
It's
1886.
not bad for you if you
So
only
I
do it
figured
once in
it'd
a
simply
while.
be a matter of tweaking these
That's why it's an
until I got something that fit.
exquisite taste.
Long story short, I was very,
Dude, you don't-
very wrong.
I mean, you can also
As
just
a
do
starting
whatever
point,
train
most
does.
recipes
But
call for the following
that's
set of
it.
flavors: orange, lemon, lime, coriander,
I said that.
nutmeg, cinnamon, vanilla, and neroli. A few other ingredients that get suggested include black pepper, lavender, clove, and kaffir lime leaf. So I bought all these flavors as essential oils from
Kaffir.
reputable vendors.
That's you.
Using essential oils in food might sound a bit strange, but rest assured this is fairly standard practice in the food and beverage
That
industry,
lavender,
as
that's
it
pretty
allows
good,
for a very
man.
precise and repeatable combination of flavors. flavors. To run my early trials, I would measure precise volumes of each oil using a micropipette, and combine them in a small vial. Once mixed, the required amount of flavor oil would be dissolved in roughly 1 milliliter of food-grade alcohol, which helps it disperse into the soda instead of clumping into droplets. This was an issue I faced when I made root beer from sassafras oil a few years ago, and the ethanol practically eliminates it without throwing off the flavor. Finally, the flavor mixture will be measured and added to a predetermined volume of soda, which was made with the established proportions of acid, caffeine, caramel color, and sugar.
That makes sense.
Pretty straightforward.
I understand that so far.
Initially, I attempted to use something called an orthogonal array to perform my analysis. Nighthawk and Light has an excellent video explaining how these work, which I highly recommend you check out. But basically, an orthogonal or Taguchi array is a type of mathematical table that allows you to find meaningful correlations with a relatively small number of trials. In my case, I was hoping to determine which flavors contributed the most to the flavor of cola. Unfortunately, the human mouth perceives flavor mixtures in really complicated ways, so my results were highly inconclusive, and often disgusting.
It's hard if
That
you
said,
do a test
I did actually learn
like
a
that.
lot by
You wanna
doing this.
Yo, Joe, what
you
you
want to
yourself
minimize
by doing
Nutmeg,
shit?
cinnamon, and
the
coriander
other
seem to
factors
contribute the
and
most
focus
to the
on
iconic
one.
cola
But there's too
flavor,
many.
but not without a strong
It-
citrus
your
base
tongue is very
composed of lemon and
complicated.
lime. At the same time, flavors like neroli and lavender just didn't seem to work in the modern profile. They added a strong floral note that isn't found in today's Coke, and also made it taste like artificial sweeteners were being used.
Yeah, that's
And
what
despite
Pepsi
showing
has.
up in most recipes, orange
That's
didn't really
Pepsi.
seem to fit either. At least not in the large
That's
amounts
what-
that are
that's the
usually
I
Pepsi
would have
taste.
guessed this already.
1 to 2% ended up being the sweet spot. And while modestly important to the flavor, higher amounts would begin to throw off the citrus notes. Of the other flavors I tested, Kaffir lime leaf was by far the most out of place, since it basically tasted like citronella. Clove was
Of
similarly overbearing and noticeably different from the spices found in Coke, while black pepper and vanilla contrastingly seemed to do very little. I mean, if I really boosted the vanilla, it was detectable and the perceived sweetness would go up, but black pepper mostly just seemed to accentuate the more earthy flavors already found in nutmeg. Now,
Yeah.
while I did
Vanilla
gather
is
at
very
least a
easy.
rough idea of what's in Coca-Cola from these early trials, I still had no idea
Chat,
what
they
the
have
correct ratios were
caramel.
or what
Caramel.
ingredients I was missing. So to find out, I
What they
cracked
do
out
is
my
they don't
secret
just do
weapons.
sugar. They
Scientific papers and
roast
chemical
the sugar
analysis.
first.
Of
In
course.
terms
And then
of
you add
analysis,
that.
Vince from Neptunium and Ben from Mass Spec
different.
Everything agreed to analyze Coca-Cola, my ingredients, and a few similar sodas like Pepsi using their mass spectrometers. These machines
This is
essentially
what they
take a tiny
used to do.
sample
Now
of
they
whatever you
use
want,
straight flavor.
split it
but
into
they
chemical
used to
fractions
roast
using either a liquid or gas chromatography column,
the
and then analyze
sugar.
each fraction by ionizing and firing its components through a magnetic field.
Dude.
Much like a prism splitting up
Yeah.
light, the magnetic field splits up ions based on their mass,
Mm-hmm.
giving a sort of fingerprint that can be used to identify what chemical was ionized. That's the explanation.
I learned about this in
And
school.
this
It's
is the
pretty
exact
simple.
chemical makeup of Coca-Cola. Let's dissect its secrets, shall we?
Chat,
The
heavier
dominant peak we
atoms
found
are
was
hard to
something
pull.
called
That's why
alpha-terpineol, which
that's why the
mostly
curve is
arises from the
different. It's like
acid-catalyzed
driving a
hydrolysis
car,
of limonene and pinene, and it
but you
hints that
add a
citrus
bit
oils
of
do
weight
in fact
to
make
the
up a large
car,
portion of
right?
Coke's
It's gonna
flavor.
you're gonna
The
with the
next
same
major peak is
angle,
actually
you're
the
gonna
remaining
you're gonna
limonene,
steer less
followed by 4-terpineol and
or
fentanyl.
more if you remove weight.
Cinnamaldehyde, saponine, and carine were also detected, indicating the presence of cinnamon and nutmeg. And finally, we found eucalyptol, borneol,
It's not
copperas
hard,
with
it's
caramel
just-
color, and ethylovolinate.
Dude.
Levolinic
I
acid
knew
and its
that.
esters form when sugars like fructose are heated under acidic conditions, which suggests the Coca-Cola undergoes heating at some point during its production.
Yeah,
Now,
that's
this
what I
is all
said.
well and
Dude.
good,
Chat,
but
it's
unfortunately,
caramel.
we couldn't pin
Caramel.
down the exact concentration of each component using this data. You see, a mass spectrometer's output is given as a plot of relative intensity, not concentration. If you want concentration, you usually have to do a lot
Chat,
of math and
analyzing
other
Coke
testing to
like
figure
this is
out
just
how
kind of
different chemicals
ridiculous
interact
because
with
it's
the
so
machine.
complex.
So, instead of relying purely
Because
on the mass spectrometry data we collected, I chose
you
to
just
also
add
learn the data
things,
from this article
it's
in the
not
Journal
gonna
of
taste the same. It's
Agricultural
like a
Chemistry.
recipe.
By how
You have to do it in the
intense
right
the flavors are
order,
of these-
otherwise you're
this
not gonna
one.
get
Pretty
the
much
thing.
every flavor found in Coca-Cola, and even gave their measured concentrations.
Ah.
There were a few flavors they left out, such as fenchel, but I figured once the
Dude, if you-
concentrations of
if
other
you-
ingredients were determined, these
If you
secondary
chemically
flavors will be
optimize
easy
it,
to dial
not only is
in
it
with
too
the help of mass
expensive,
spectrometry.
but
That
they
won't
don't
be
have
for
that.
every chemical
They
on
always
this
there's
list,
always a
but
little
there are a few I'd
difference
like to
between
point out
every
that
Coke
reveal important
because they
information about
don't
the secret formula.
chemically
Why is so
optimize
much
it because
darker,
it's
though?
not
Obviously,
economically viable.
cinnamaldehyde and vanillin can be
They make
directly
it,
correlated with cinnamon and vanilla,
just
so
through
we
a
can check those off
recipe.
as part of Coke's
So
recipe.
it's not like
Quite
a
very little.
concoction;
Limonene and
it's a recipe.
alpha-terpineol are also present, along with aldehydes like
That's
octanol,
lime.
nonanol, and decanol. which collectively signal the strong presence of citrus oils.
I said
This is all stuff we mostly knew. Things get interesting, though, with linalool and the various forms of eugenol. Eugenol and its esters make up 80 to 90% of clove oil, which is one of the suggested ingredients that people reference from time to time. However, the concentrations found in Coke are only enough to account for the traces contributed by nutmeg and cinnamon oils, which are much more definitive ingredients. And since clove oil threw off the flavor in my early tests, I think it's fairly safe to rule it out as a potential flavor. Sticking with ingredients we already discussed, linalool also rules out a few potential flavors.
What the fuck is that?
To explain how, though, we need to talk about enantiomers. Basically, for a molecule like linalool, two mirrored versions exist. R and
chirality!
S. You can flip them around all you want, but no orientation will make them identical. Interestingly, the R enantiomer of linalool makes up the
Giles,
majority
like,
of both lavender
you need to
and
think of
neroli
molecules
oils,
3D.
while the S
You can have a
enantiomer makes
mirror.
up the majority
You
of
can
the
have the
lavender oil.
same kind of structure,
And,
but
according to
mirrored.
the study, Coca Cola contains mostly S-linalool, with the amount of R-linalool only being enough to cover what would come from the citrus oils.
Linalool.
Right,
Some
molecules
might
aren't
argue that chemicals
2D.
like nerol and
If they were 2D, you
nerol
could just
signify the
flip them, and
presence of neroli,
they're
but
not.
this simply isn't the
Chirality
case.
is you have like
These compounds are
a
found
mirror
in citrus
version.
oils just like linalool, meaning we can pre-definitively
You can have
say
multiple, but
neroli
it's
and
usually only
lavender are not
one or
ingredients in
two.
Coke.
Or
The last chemical I'm
none.
going to bring up is acetic acid. To me, this
But
one
especially
was kind of a
on
shock, especially with it being the third most prominent flavor
called
by mass.
organic
My
materials, you
first
can have
thought was
a
that it was
lot of
simply
those.
arising from the acid-catalyzed breakdown of acetate esters in the cola. But after talking with Darcy over on the Art of Drink channel, and seeing it in an actual recipe from the 1950s, I'm almost certain that's being added deliberately.
Oh.
To be clear, the amounts being used are in the range of parts per million. But I still find it kind of funny that vinegar is probably one of the secret ingredients. With the major flavoring compounds identified and
Really?
correlated with existing ingredients, I set up an
Of
Excel
course,
spreadsheet
it's
to
so
make iterating
acidic.
my recipes a bit easier. A mixing calculator would basically take the volume of each oil being added, determine how much of each component was present, and then compare that data with the Coca Cola numbers. Once everything was matching, I would take the recipe, log it on a separate tab with notes about the soda it made.
Yo, this is a lot
and
of work,
finally
man.
rank how close it was to real Coke.
Jesus Christ.
Unfortunately, while most of the
Yeah,
flavor
don't show this
compounds
to the
could be easily
kids.
connected to at least one of the essential oils, there were a few that just weren't showing up on the mass spectrum. Specifically, fenchol and 4-terpineol. Originally, alpha-terpineol was also on this list, but after modifying my soda preparation to include heating, there was more than enough of it to go around. For the fenchol, I simply resorted to buying the raw chemical. But for 4-terpineol, I started down a completely new rabbit hole. You see, the taste of Coca-Cola
buys
can
this
be
shit?
divided into a few main groups. The two we've tackled so far, and the two most people stop at, are citrus and brown spices, along with less pronounced subgroups like caramel and vanilla. What most people tend to overlook are the more green, fresh flavors that seem to come from the coca leaf. Without these flavors, you tend to end up with a more spice-centered drink like Pepsi. So,
That
for my
makes
source
sense.
of 4-terpineol, I decided to go with an essential oil that I felt would reintroduce those missing flavors. Tea tree oil. By mass, this stuff is close to 50% 4-terpineol, and most of the other chemicals it contains match up with those found in Coca-Cola.
Oh, so you're
So
going
it
to
doesn't
reduce the
really
other
mess up
ones
mass
and you take that
spectrum.
one.
When I began using it, I
You just
noticed an
adjust a little
immediate
bit.
improvement in the flavor, although it never fully replenished the missing freshness. Overall, it was more like drinking Diet Coke than regular Coke.
Ooh, that's bad.
And no amount of tweaking or adding
Yeah,
essential
just
oils
Diet
seemed to
Coke
change that.
sucks ass. It's
I
awful.
spent months adjusting the recipe,
Dude,
testing
you-
new ingredients,
You can
and
taste
forcing
that
family members to taste
fake
my
sweetener.
experiments.
It's so bad.
Eventually, my original soda stream gave
It's
out,
so bad.
and I had to buy a second one.
This is starting to become unreasonably expensive.
If you don't like the
I
if
tested
you like
castor
Diet
seed
Coke, you
versus
don't like the
cinnamon
taste of
leaf, different
sugar.
versions
I
of
mean,
nutmeg
that's
and
just
lime,
that's so
heating and aging
soy.
versus not. Even
How can you
adding
not like
trace flavors
sugar?
like isopugol.
It's just so soy.
Heck, I even tested
Heck.
completely
Dude,
random flavors to see if they'd
you
fill in
you
what was
drink goy
They
slop
never did.
with a smile on your face.
After a certain point,
You're so
I
soy.
was pretty close to throwing in the towel.
Fucking
Maybe
dude,
people
fucking
were right to say
shit.
that Coca-Cola
I
is
bet you're one of
impossible
those
to
people that
replicate
thinks
without
sugar is
coca
bad
leaves.
for you. Come on, man.
And then
So
he
bad.
added pickle
The
juice.
answer finally hit me.
I mean, you just the
Coca
goy
leaf
slop
extract
enjoyer,
is essentially
man.
a type of tea, and teas contain tannins. These tannins possess a dry, astringent
So it's not about
taste
what
that can
you
help
eat.
mask
It's
sweet
about how you
flavors.
eat it.
And since they're non-volatile, they don't usually show up on gas-based mass spectrums, explaining how I missed them for so long. Best of all, they're sold in a purified state for winemaking, meaning I could
If you
quickly
eat
get a
if
hold
you
of a
eat it
sample
properly,
and test
you
out my
don't.
theory.
It's all good.
And
It's
it was
all fine.
worth it. This is the mass spectrum of Coca-Cola. And
You
this
just gotta have the right
is
intention.
the mass spectrum
right?
of one of my replicas.
Make something out of nothing.
They're
If you don't,
nearly
if you stop making
identical.
things
Yeah,
out of
that's cool
nothing,
now, but what's up with all the
you lose.
all the weird impurities or whatever the fuck this is? Chat, why is it so hairy? Why is it so aggressive graph? It's like I'm not gonna read it. You read it. This bubble is just noise.
Can you embarrass both Rondale and Jinx on Rocket
And the
League
flavor,
RNP?
They don't wanna play, they
what
don't
can I
wanna
say?
play.
It tastes like Coke. There are tiny differences, of course, but honestly, this stuff is closer to classic Coke than Coke's own glass bottle or Diet Colas are, and infinitely closer than any other replica. It definitely checks out as Coca Cola, at least to me. We'll get to other people's reactions and opinions here in a minute.
Can't serve it in a
But
fucking.
first, let me show you exactly how it's made. Brief spoiler, the startup cost for this recipe can be kinda high, unless you have a pre-existing stockpile of essential oils and accurate measuring equipment. Once you have everything though, you can easily produce a bulk flavor solution that will last for years,
Yeah, exactly
and
what I
allow
was
you to
about to
create
say.
servings of Coke for mere pennies. No more paying a company that won't even pay real animators. In terms of hardware, we'll need a mass scale, an adjustable micropipette that can accurately dispense up to 1,000 microliters, a 50 milliliter graduated cylinder, some 1 liter storage bottles, and some kind of heat-resistant glassware for making the syrup. Resist the
Alright.
temptation to use metal cookware, since phosphoric acid can attack it and dissolve less than healthy metals into the soda.
Oh no!
There is a reason soda cans have that plastic liner. Finally, you can also use a magnetic stirrer for mixing, as well as a 1 liter volumetric flask to make the dilution steps a bit easier. For ingredients, we have all the essential oils seen here: sugar, carbonated water, caffeine, caramel color, food-grade alcohol, 85% phosphoric acid, glycerin, wine tannins, 5% vinegar, vanilla extract, and fenchol. Quick note, fenchol melts just above room temperature, so you might need to warm it up in some hot water before beginning. I bought my sample on Amazon, and after testing it, I can confirm its flavor is present in Coke, so use it if you can. For caramel
wouldn't make
color,
this shit.
I used
Fuck
Shank's
that.
brand, but other varieties like Durkee should work just as well,
7?
as long as they're composed of actual caramel color
For a stream,
and
bro,
not a
I'm
mix
just
of
gonna
red and green
poison
food
myself,
dyes. If you don't use Shank's though, try playing with the amounts you add to get the right color. Also, keep in mind that we are working with chemicals here, including a few that
In
are
not
mildly
wasting my
hazardous.
fenkle on this.
So, for your own safety, wear gloves, measure accurately, and don't taste any of the unmixed ingredients. The first step is to prepare what most people call the 7X flavoring, which is the mixture of essential oils and alcohol that make up the Coca-Cola secret formula. To be clear, what I am about to share is not the Coca-Cola secret formula, since I failed to utilize decoconized coca leaf extract. Chemically though, it's about as close as you can get without it, and the real deal should be fairly similar.
Yeah, but I don't understand, why can't you get the coca leaves like Coke does? I mean, they're just a company. I mean,
The recipe is 45.8 milliliters lemon, 36.5 milliliters
difference
lime,
is
1.2 milliliters
it's illegal to
orange,
buy
8 milliliters
cocaine,
tea tree,
right?
4.5 milliliters
But
cassia cinnamon,
Coca-Cola,
2.7
they
milliliters
own the
nutmeg,
cocaine farms
0.7
and the
milliliters
drug
coriander,
trade.
and
They own
0.6
the whole
milliliters
operation.
fenchel.
They are the ones that are selling
And optimally,
cocaine.
you let this mixture age
It's
for a
not
day
the
or two before
cartels.
continuing.
Coca-Cola is
Art of
the
Drink has an
cartel.
excellent video
That's what I
explaining
just
why,
said.
and even the original
Right?
Pemberton version of Coca-Cola
They-
includes this aging step.
They went to war
In the
with
end,
the
you'll be
US,
rewarded with
but then
about
the
100
Jews,
milliliters of
the
flavor
Jews,
oil,
the
which is enough
Vatican,
for
and the
over
Swiss stepped
5,000
in,
liters of
and they
soda,
solved
or
the
about as
problem.
much as your mom drinks
That's
in
why
a
the
day.
recipe has to say secret.
To make the
This
7X
guy just
solution,
blew everything up.
simply dilute
He
20
blew up the
milliliters
whole.
of the flavor oil to a volume of 1 liter.
This guy
using
just
food-grade
started
alcohol.
World War III.
And before
Okay,
anyone gets
this
worried,
it's
the
over.
amount of
It's
alcohol being
actually
added to
over.
the final soda is 5 times less than what you get from a non-alcoholic beer, and far too little to taste or make this drink intoxicating. Other flavor extracts like vanilla or almond use ethanol as a solvent. This is no different. Still, if alcohol is an issue, you can emulsify the oil into water with the help of gum arabic. Check out Glenn and Friends Cooking to see how he does this with his cola.
but chat,
Anyway,
if you had the real coca shit though, right? It would make the whole thing. You would have to redo the whole recipe.
next, we'll need to make a secondary water-based solution containing the other ingredients, aside from sugar and carbonated water. Into roughly 200 milliliters of hot water, measure out 10 milliliters of 5% vinegar, 9.65 grams of caffeine, 175 grams of glycerin, 45 milliliters of 85% phosphoric acid, 8 grams of wine tannins, 10 milliliters of vanilla extract, and 320 milliliters of Shank's caramel color.
Bro, this is some fucking
In
sludge.
case you're wondering, the glycerin is being added for texture and mouthfeel. Without it, the drink tends to feel a bit thinner
This
and
looks
more like
healthy.
diet soda. Also, if using vanilla extract feels imprecise, you can alternatively mix up a solution containing 9.5 grams per liter of vanillin and use 1 milliliter of that. Given the fairly limited impact vanilla seems to have though, you probably wouldn't notice a major difference. Give each ingredient time to fully incorporate before adding the next, and once everything is dissolved, dilute the mixture to a final volume of 1 liter using water. Now, let's make some Coca Cola.
Wait, how do you know this is one? How do you know this is a fucking? If you can't see the 1,000.
This
It's a
demo,
notch
I'll
to
be
top
making
there.
1 liter, just so scaling up or down is a bit easier. Into a glass dish, add 104 grams of sugar, and just enough water to dissolve everything.
Is a line?
I know I said 110 grams of sugar per liter of soda at the beginning of the video, but here's the deal. That's for a mixture of fructose and glucose, like you'd find in corn syrup. If we add 110 grams of sucrose, or cane sugar, the phosphoric acid will cause it to react with the water and form nearly 116 grams of those simpler sugars. That would throw off the sweetness of the drink, so we use less sugar to compensate. Anyway,
So how
next
did- how
we
did
add
they
our
do it
flavor
then?
solutions to the syrup. 10 milliliters of the water-based solution, and 1 milliliter of the alcohol-based 7X solution. You might need a few extra drops of the 7X solution, it really depends on your taste. As soon as everything is combined, microwave or otherwise heat the mixture until nearly boiling, and cover to prevent the more volatile
0.7.
flavors from escaping. Heating like this helps the phosphoric acid break down
That's a good
compounds like
idea,
limonene
Cox.
and citral, and it also accelerates that sugar hydrolysis reaction we just talked about, so it's a fairly crucial step. Once fully cooled, dilute the syrup to a volume of 1 liter with cold carbonated water. This can either be bought or made yourself using a soda stream. Just don't attempt to carbonate the
A
fully
soda
mixed soda
stream.
on the machine. It tends to produce a lot of foam, which can lead to bacterial growth if you're not careful. And this is our finished Coca Cola. You can drink it directly, but if you want the most accurate version of the final flavor, allow the soda to rest for a day or so in the fridge. And again, while the flavor is as close as I could get to Coke after a year of trying, and certainly closer than any other clone I've tasted, there is still room for perfection. So if you have the ingredients,
But then it's in taking all the contaminants and whatever that this bottle has, though. What, I mean, this is not even the same type of glass or bottle that they
True,
have. This is
true.
different, though.
feel free to experiment.
But,
And for future
again,
reference,
it's a
I'll have
small
the most up-to-date
difference.
version of the recipe in the video description. Of course, I could go on and on about how I think my cola tastes, but what do other people think? Is this a convincing replica?
Yeah, the
or
point of
just another
glass
Pemberton knockoff?
is that
Well,
it doesn't
I set up
contaminate,
several
but
blind
the
and
glass
non-blind taste
they
tests,
use,
and people
the
actually had
Coca
trouble
Cola
telling it
uses,
apart from real Coke.
is
Yeah,
contaminated.
this is regular Coke. See, I can't even
If you
tap
drink
the
it from a
window.
chemistry
I
cup,
can't even
it's
tap.
different. It's very different from drinking from
9.5
a
out of 10.
Coca Cola bottle
That's
because
pretty good.
the chemistry
That
cup is
tastes
cleaned.
pretty close.
This one is contaminated.
Like,
Mark S.
I may not be able to tell if these are side by side with the
Huh?
original taste.
I know that is definitely, Coke or a Coke product. If you said it was vanilla Coke or something like that, I'd be like, yeah, maybe that's definitely Coke.
I think this is more similar to this bottle than this is to that bottle. Which is
Well, that's Mexican Coke, no
crazy to
shit.
think about now that I said that out loud.
That's a Coke product. I wasn't expecting it to taste so much like Coke. Oh my gosh, hold on, I gotta go again.
Coke.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, like if you sold this on the shelves, I'd buy it.
Regular Coke drinkers were better picking mine out from the mix, but the general consensus was
I like Mexican Coke, but it's too nice. It's almost has a texture to it. It's nice. I like the harshness of the non-Mexican Coke too, though. The Mexican Coke it's kind of nice on you. It kind of coats and it just it glides. I don't think I like that
could
much.
be mistaken for Coke.
It's the
and not other
microplastics,
colas
dude.
like Pepsi. When tasted on its own,
It's the extra
without Coca-Cola as a
microplastics
direct
you get
reference,
from
people
transportation.
overwhelmingly thought it
That's
was the
nice.
real deal.
That's like I
Unlike
said,
the
you
Pemberton
need
recipe, Open
Chat,
Cola,
you
and other
the
clones
only
I
reason
had.
you
I don't
dislike
Yeah, that's
plastic Coke is because you haven't let it age enough.
No, that's not Coke.
You need to let it
No,
age.
that's not-
I bet you
You
these
get some extra
busters don't
plastics.
drink Coke even once a week.
That's real
They don't-
nice.
Yo, I don't believe it.
Like,
I don't buy it.
That's
Sorry.
just real
cola,
nice.
but that's not.
This
Coke.
is our
That is
fast food
straight
noobs. They're
flour.
noobs. They're not qualified.
True.
It's very cinnamon
True.
to me.
Actually, it's
Like,
the goat.
almost
He would
pure
know.
cinnamon.
He's always
Like,
right.
you know, like those little candies.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not Coke.
All right,
He measured
I
it
think
in
that's finally it.
1,000 milliliters
2025.
flask before pouring it in the other one. Also, the 1,000 milliliters mark was indicated with a dentation in the glass.
Oh, thank you, man. I will make sure to do that when I buy my my Herland Mayer flask, my boiling flask, and my round bottom flask, 5,000 milliliters.
Is coming to a close, and it has been an insane year for this channel. Thanks to everyone's support, I was able to take on crazy projects like making fluorine gas at home, preparing oleum piranha solution, and putting a 360 camera probe in front of a tornado. Stay tuned for that adventure. 2026 is shaping up to be another great year for Lab Coats, although there are a few changes on the way. If all goes well, I'll be graduating in May with my bachelor's degree in chemical engineering, and moving to a new location where I'll be doing an internship and hopefully getting a full-time job. It's hard to say how many videos I'll be putting out at that time, but rest assured if there is like a little break in there, it's not going to be permanent, and I will be coming back. Regarding projects, I have several chemistry-themed ones planned out, including making taurine for my own energy drink, and finally finishing my work with super stenches by taking on tellurium. I also bought over $1,000 worth of capacitors to build a plasma gun, and for storm chasing, I got this high-speed drone to film tornadoes up close and personal. Kinda like the Otis project, but cheaper. Now I just need a license. If you'd like to help support me and my channel, feel free to donate, join my Patreon, or become a channel member. Or pick yourself up a sample of the Lab Cola
begging.
Stuff. As always, a big thanks goes out to all
begging is L.
Patreon supporters.
If you have a donation box, don't tell anyone where it is until they ask.
Like President's Choice shit, do that?
If the only way you get to have the only way you're not going to be called a beggar, at least by my standards, is if you never ask. You don't beg, you don't ask, you don't even point. The only time to point, the only time you can point is if they initiate. If they want to donate, you point where it is. If they don't want to donate, you don't point. If you point, you're a beggar. You're a fucking beggar. I can't stand beggars. You never give money to beggars. These fucking beggars, I hate beggars.